Can we welcome everyone and start with the judges for common pleas
Sure, we can certainly do that.
because they are all on. Uh,
Okay. Well, we have, let's see, 98 attendees here. So hello to all of you. I can't see all of you, but I know you're there. And for those who don't know me, I am Zeke. I work with the Democratic Committee of Lower Merion and Narberth in the daytime. And when I'm not doing that, I'm also a physician and I also host the Zeekly podcast, where I've actually interviewed many of the judges you're going to hear from tonight. So we're going to mix things up a little bit, and we have some of our panelists on now, and we have judges from the Court of Common Pleas. Now, for those who don't know, the way that the court system is set up in Pennsylvania, I'll probably explain this a few times, but the court system in Pennsylvania is set up like a pyramid. Okay, so at the top of the pyramid, we have the state Supreme Court. And then right underneath that, we have two courts. We have the Superior Court and the Commonwealth Court. And below that, we have the Court of Common Pleas. And below that, we have the minor, we call them minor courts, although they're all important, the magisterial district judges. Okay, and we are lucky enough to have someone from each of those levels, either serving currently or trying to run for those positions. So we're going to start with the Court of Common Pleas. Okay, so I believe our first panelist is Lauren Hughes. Lauren, are you there?
Just have to unmute myself.
Hi,
Yes, I'm here.
Lauren.
Good evening, everyone.
It's
Good
so
evening,
good.
Dr. Zeke.
It's good to see you again. We had such a great time. And by the way, I interviewed many of the judges or candidates. Lauren, I did interview you. So if you'd like to see a long version of our discussion, head over to the zeeklypodcast.com afterwards, of course. So Lauren, so good to see you again.
Good to see you as well.
Well, the Court of Common Pleas in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania is the trial court, essentially, and it's composed of
Yes,
five different divisions, right? We
yes,
have civil, family, criminal, orphans court, and juvenile.
yes.
So, is there a particular division that you are most interested in overseeing as a judge, and why?
That's a great question. Well, my background as a former public defender, so of course, criminal will be my wheelhouse, but I'm just committed to ensuring that the courtroom is fair and just in all ways. And I'm just happy to be in the number. And I'm happy to work with the judges that are currently on the bench. We have an excellent bench in Montgomery County, and I'm just happy to work with them wherever I'm needed. So I'm just happy to be here.
Well, we're happy to have you. So, how do you approach when you're going and talking to voters? How do you approach an apathetic voter, someone who believes that these races just don't apply to them?
That's a great question. It's hard because when judges aren't really out there, right? And I think we're changing that in this election as we're seeing all the judges out knocking doors, being face to face with voters. And I don't know if this has happened before, but it's even more important now than ever that we get our Supreme Court justices retained. And with that, we're going door to door. And when they see a judge appear or a potential judge appear at their front door, they're often shocked, but they're happy to see that we're actually human beings, right? Because
Mhm.
most people only see judges on their bad days, right?
Mhm.
Nobody wants to
Right.
see a judge, but we're able to speak with them and ask that they trust us. We tell them a little bit about, I know for me, and I can speak for the other candidates that I'm running with in Montgomery County, that we speak to our values. We just give them some insight of who we are. And with that, we hope to gain their trust just in those few moments, again, because you don't get the opportunity to actually speak with voters on a regular basis. But when we do, we take that opportunity to get to know them in those few minutes, get them to get a little bit of insight about us and our background, and hope that they can trust us to make the decisions that will affect them and others that could come before us. So just
That's
taking the time to do that, I
You
think.
do. These things take time. Really, it's a person by person journey, and we just have to get people to understand how important your race is, and every single race on the ballot this November 4th.
Yes.
So another question I have for you is, I'd like to mix it up a little bit. You know, on the Zeekly podcast, we mix
Yes,
it up.
I know you love to
Okay.
mix it up, Dr. Z.
So I know I already know a lot of answers to these questions, but many people listening and watching this don't. What's something you like to do in your spare time?
Oh, I love to travel. I love concerts and I love watching sports, specifically the Eagles and college basketball. I'm a huge Villanova men's basketball fan. So
Mm.
that's what I
What,
like to do in my spare time.
and the shopping too, right?
Oh yes, you remember the shopping.
Can't
Yes.
can't forget about the
Trying to cut
shopping.
back on the shopping, but the shopping is something I enjoy.
And my last question for you is, what's one of the first things you're going to do after the election on November 4th?
Oh, I have a wedding to attend of a family member, so I will be attending that wedding on that Friday. So I'm praying it all goes well
Hmm.
so I can have an enjoyable time.
Excellent.
Okay.
Any last words that you would like to tell the viewers about this important election?
Yes, just even being here, everyone, is the first step. And I just hope that you learn from this conversation tonight and spread the word. We need each and every one of you to tell your household, to tell your neighbors, to tell your friends how important that judges do matter and that we must vote yes on election day and even before, because the mail-in ballots in Montgomery County are out. So for those of you that have not voted already and plan to either at the polls or via mail and have friends and family, you must tell them to vote yes. And hopefully the information you learn here tonight will help you make them or help them make an informed decision. And you can be able to share some information as to why, not just vote yes, but why you should vote yes. So thank you all for
Absolutely.
being here.
Thank you so much, Lauren. That concludes our time together, but I look forward to seeing you again soon.
Of course. Thank you, Dr. Z.
Thank you. Next, we have Ray McGarry. Is Ray available? Also running for the Court of Common Pleas in Montgomery County. I should mention, if you're watching, all three of these candidates are running for Court of Common Pleas in Montgomery County, Pennsylvania. There probably will be people running for office where you live if you don't live in Montgomery County. Please stick around. We are going to talk about statewide judges, okay? But right now we are talking about judges who are running in Montgomery County, okay? Just to clear up any confusion.
Good
Ray,
evening.
Ray, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Good.
Thanks
I'm
for
just trying to
having
stay out of
me.
trouble. That's what I try and do most of the time, just stay out of trouble.
Good.
Ray, judges have a very important balancing act, okay, when it comes to the law, right? There's the responsibility to the victim, and all the accused, and also society at large. So, what is your approach to balancing the scales of justice?
So I think first and foremost, you have to create a welcoming environment in the courtroom so that people know that they're welcome in your courtroom, that they're respected while they're in you're in your courtroom. As Lauren mentioned, usually when people are in court, it's because something bad happened to them. And it's our job to make sure that they feel welcome, that it's clear to them that they're respected, that we have empathy for them.
Mhm.
And by that, how do we express that? The way I think you can express that the most is to show them that you're attentive, that you're listening, that you're prepared, that you've studied and you understand the legal issues involved. So that at the end of the day, that they feel that whatever decision is made, that they got a fair shot and that they had a fair judge. I
Yeah,
think that's the best that we can do.
no, absolutely. I mean, I think most people don't want to see themselves in front of a judge. And so
Right.
you definitely want to see someone who can make a decision that will affect potentially at least the next couple of years of their lives or longer, that you're going to have someone who will see them for who they are.
Absolutely. And if we follow the law, um, then I think we've done them a service and we've done the community at large a service as well.
Mhm. Well, Ray, again, on the Zeekly podcast, we have a little fun. So I'm going to ask you a question. What's your favorite food? What's your go-to food you're having a rough day?
Uh,
Gentlemen.
Definitely Italian, and I would say
Okay.
veal parm with a
Okay.
side of ziti.
Okay. So we're not going for fast food. We're going for like the full experience
Oh
here. You
yeah,
have to
yeah.
sit down, no drive-through. You got to have the whole thing.
Oh no, and I'm cooking it too.
Okay. Oh, okay.
I love to cook.
All right. All the whole thing all by yourself. Very good. I could say I would not be doing that. If I needed something, it would be drive-through most likely.
Yeah, I
Uh,
try to stay away from that.
you and me both. My last question for you will be, what do you want your judicial legacy to be in Pennsylvania?
Wow. I think my judicial legacy, I'd like to be known as the judge. Too often when I go into a courtroom as a trial attorney, I see judges that aren't prepared, that don't know what the case is about. I understand that they're busy, but like we said earlier, when people are in court, it's an important day for them, perhaps one
Mhm.
of the most important days of their life. And I think that my legacy, I want to be known as somebody that has been warm and welcoming and prepared.
Mhm.
I think that it's the most important thing as an attorney, as a party, as a witness, jurors, everyone that interacts with the court system, they want to know that this judge understood what was going on and was prepared. And so I think that would be my legacy.
I love it. That's perfect. Well, thank you so much, Ray. I can't wait to vote for you on November 4th. And if you live in Montgomery County, I implore you all to do the same.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate being here.
Absolutely. And next up, we have Mary Pugh.
Zeke, I am going to interrupt you a little. We have
Sure.
Madeline Dean on,
Go ahead.
and I know she has limited time, so I am going to promote her.
No, because I had tech difficulty, let's go to Mary, because I
Okay.
think that is much more seamless. And then I'll go after
There you
the
go.
Court of Common
All right.
Pleas. Thank
I
you,
was just
Adrian.
worried about your time.
Thank you, thank you.
Okay.
I was going
Sounds
to
good.
yield the floor to our esteemed representative because I hear
Yes.
you yield the floor often.
Mary, it's so good to see you.
It's good to see you.
Thank you. Well, I know I said this before, but I don't think it'll be far off by saying that not many people want to see themselves in front of a judge, right? You know, for many reasons.
True.
So how would you address a voter's concern about how you would treat them in your courtroom?
So much to piggyback what Ray just said, I think that the judge has a responsibility to set the tone of the courtroom. We are following the rules and the statutes, and they cannot be changed, and we have to know them. That's our job. But we have to set the tone, and the environment must be such that it is informative, it is serious, because it is a very serious day, and that everyone is treated with dignity and is heard, from the tip staff to the sheriff to the court reporter and to each person who enters that courtroom. And the judge sets that tone by treating everyone with dignity. And I believe in not presuming anyone knows what's going on. Because frankly, there are many lawyers I've worked with that have walked into a room and not known where to sit or where to be, and they're embarrassed, and they shouldn't be, because it is foreign to most, certainly when you're young. So it's the judge's responsibility to explain the proceedings, how it's going to work, what their role is, and what everyone's role is. And I think that once you can be communicative in an educational way, you give someone even playing field so that they know what's going to happen, or at least might have an expectation. And I think that in that way, you set the tone of fairness and dignity, which is really our responsibility. And I know a theme that both Lauren, Ray, and I really do talk about a lot.
I think that's great. I mean, I'm a physician and I am used to seeing very difficult, traumatic situations, but I get chest pain just thinking about walking to a courtroom. So
Sure.
I think it's great that all three of you are thinking about people in that way and having empathy, because I'm sure it's a very difficult experience to walk into a courtroom for many people in the Commonwealth.
Yes.
Probably the last question we'll be able to get to for you is a little fun. What's your favorite social media app? Gotta have one.
Oh, I don't even know.
Say mine is TikTok. I love TikTok.
No, I don't do TikTok.
You don't do the
because-
TikToks?
No, Instagram.
Okay.
And then there is also, I don't even know what it's called, the one that you can put the faces on.
Facebook?
No.
Oh,
I'm gonna have to
oh,
look.
I know what you're talking about.
Because
Yeah.
my grandchildren do it, and so all of
Yes.
a sudden I'll see a picture of me with like ears and nose and like a
Yeah,
mouth.
yeah.
Yeah,
That's
I don't
great.
know what
Oh,
it's called, though.
Snapchat.
That's
Snapchat.
it.
I knew it'd come
Yes.
to us eventually.
Yes, and they think it goes away, but it really doesn't. And
That's
I've
so
worked
funny.
with law enforcement that can pull those things up, but
Mhm.
they seem to know how to use those and make funny things. You know, you can be
Mhm.
bald, you can have
Yeah.
really long hair, you can have green
Mhm.
hair.
Well,
I can be
maybe,
Jason Kelsey sometimes.
well, when you're a sitting judge, maybe you'll get some text messages from your
Yeah.
from your friends from Snapchat
Yes.
to keep things light.
Yeah. Yes.
Well, thank you so very
Thank
much,
you.
Mary. I really appreciate it. Again, Lauren, Ray, and Mary, Lauren Hughes, Ray McGarry, and Mary Pugh, all running for Court of Common Pleas in Montgomery County, Pennsylvania. They
Thank
all
you.
come recommended by the PA Bar Association, nonpartisan, and all, of course, endorsed by the PA Democratic Party, Laura Marion and Arbeth. So thank you so much for all three of you for coming on.
Thank you.
And here we are with Representative Dean.
Hello, Zeke, Adrian, and Rob. Thanks for having me. Thanks for inviting me, frankly. It's good to be with you, and it's nice to follow those three extraordinary candidates. They will be tremendous judges on our Court of Common Pleas, so I couldn't be more delighted, because I'm a mom and a grandmom too. And the hardest days of your life are if you go into a courtroom, unless you're working as the lawyer, It's not easy to go into a courtroom because so much is on the line. And I just have utter confidence in the three of them. We are lucky in Montgomery County. Please be sure to vote. It matters. And please be sure to vote for them. I've been told I have 2 minutes. I'm going to go less than 2 minutes if it's at all possible. But if you don't mind, I'm going to start with this day. We are met here on an historic day. I am so joyful that the hostages, the living hostages, are home. And it's a strange day of joy and sadness, but I'm going to focus on the joy. The living hostages are now all home. In addition to that, there is a ceasefire. No additional bombs, no additional gunfire. Please, God, let the suffering end, and let's bring home the remaining 24 hostages who are deceased. So my heart is so full in terms of Israel and Gaza right now. And please, God, an end to the suffering and a future of real peace. But thank you guys for putting this together. It is so important to get the word out there. So I know that's exactly why you're doing this. This set of elections, some people might not understand how important it is. I have a feeling anybody on this Zoom gets it. But the retention elections from the justices of the Supreme Court, and I think you're going to hear from some of them, Donahue, Doherty, and Wecht. I hope you are, because they are extraordinary jurists who uphold the Pennsylvania Constitution. They'll tell you a little bit about that. And I'm going to lift up, and let's see if any of the three mentions one of my favorite constitutional amendments. Pennsylvania Constitution has it. The federal does not. Article 1, Section 27, that we, the people of Pennsylvania, have the right to clean air, clean water, and the preservation of our natural aesthetic, not just for us, but for generations to come, like my kids and grandkids and all of yours. So we have unbelievable, terrific justices to vote yes on. Turn that ballot over, vote yes. We have retention of Justice Beck DeBow, an extraordinary judge and just a talented jurist. I'm delighted to be able to lift up her name. I have to mention Judge Brandon Newman. He and I served together in the Pennsylvania House. I get to say to you personally how I know he is a man like the others I've just mentioned, of such integrity, smarts, applies the law and the facts, and figures out what is the right, just thing to do. So he is a current Court of Common Pleas justice from the west of Pennsylvania, judge from the west of Pennsylvania, running for Superior Court. Go, Brandon Newman. Judge Wojcik, Judge Stella Ty, they're both going to tell you their stories, how important they are, and their judicial wisdom and comportment. We're lucky in Pennsylvania with all of these guys. We've already talked about Montgomery County, and I do know that we have an MDJ, I believe an MDJ candidate on board here, McMahon.
John McMahon.
Thank you. So everybody from Supreme Court justices to MDJs, these are people that are important to our families' lives, are important to the rule of law. And I couldn't be prouder to be here to say, everybody, get out and vote, get 10 of your friends to vote, flip that ballot over, vote yes, 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 yes. Back to you, Zeke.
Thank you so much, Representative Dean, and for everything that you do every day.
Thank you. Lucky to do it.
All right, so I think we're going to start back at the top of the pyramid again in Pennsylvania. And for those who are just joining, we're going to run through all 7 statewide judicial candidates who will be on everyone's ballot in Pennsylvania this November 4th. So again, like a pyramid, we have at the top the state Supreme Court, below that the Superior Court and the Commonwealth Court, below that the Court of Common Pleas, and at the bottom we have the magisterial courts. So we are going to invite our 3 state Supreme Court justices on. They each have about 7 minutes to speak. I know that their time is precious. If you would like to watch a longer version with all of these candidates, please go to thezekelypodcast.com afterwards, and you can watch or listen to those episodes. So I think the first person we'll call on is Justice Donahue. Is Justice Donahue available?
I don't see her on.
That's okay. I think we have
She could
others.
only stay until 7:30, so
Okay.
with the
That's
the
fine.
tech
Then,
then.
do we have Justice Wecht available?
Yes, I'm here.
It's so good to hear your voice again, Justice Wecht. I
Thank
feel
you,
like
Dr. Seek.
we have so much fun talking to each other.
Yes, I admire what you do. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. Well, let's get right into it, okay?
I'm
So,
pleased to be with all of you. Thank you.
yes, thank you very much. Well, currently there is a 5-2 Democratic majority on the state Supreme Court, which you, Justices Donahue and Doherty, helped to form. And for the last decade, that majority has protected our reproductive rights, our environmental rights, ensured fair funding of public schools in Pennsylvania, and prevented partisan gerrymandering, similar to what is happening in Texas. So if you three are not retained, are all of those things at risk of going away in Pennsylvania?
Absolutely. The only reason that those four important Pennsylvania constitutional rights have been vindicated and protected in the last 10 years is because my colleagues, Justice Donahue and Justice Doherty, and I have been on the court. Before we were on the court, those constitutional rights were essentially ignored.
Yeah, it's terrifying to think that those could go away.
And by the way, just one more thing on that is, I think everybody probably knows this, that in an era when the U.S. Supreme Court is not going to backstop your constitutional rights at the federal level, having a state Supreme Court which will do so is all the more important. So no wonder that folks on the other side who want to deprive people of these rights are spending so much money to try to mislead people and get them to vote no.
That's right. That's right. We've all, maybe you not all have seen them, but there are mailers going around, very misleading mailers, that essentially are implying that the unfair districts that were gerrymandered were approved by the current justices, but that is not true. They were actually thrown out. We have some of the fairest districts in the entire country because of you and our Democratic majority in the Supreme Court. So if you do get those mailers that say vote no, please ignore them. You need to vote yes for Justices Donahue, Doherty, and Wecht. So thank you for bringing that up. My next question for you is, for the people who see the types of rulings that have come down from SCOTUS, the Supreme Court of the United States, what can you tell Pennsylvanians about how the PA Constitution can still protect their rights?
Well, I want everybody on the call to know that Pennsylvania's Constitution is the ancestor, not the descendant of the U.S. Constitution. Right there near where you're all sitting, down the road in Independence Hall in Philadelphia, in the same building, in the same year as our nation's Declaration of Independence was signed, our first Pennsylvania Constitution was signed. And that was a dozen years before the U.S. Constitution. And there's a whole lot that's in our Pennsylvania Constitution that is not even mentioned in the U.S. Constitution. And that includes free and equal elections, which we have vindicated. It includes a thorough and efficient system of public education, which we have vindicated. It includes an environmental rights amendment for clean air, pure water, and the scenic and aesthetic values of the environment for our children and generations yet to come. And not least, it includes an equal rights amendment, which does not exist in the U.S. Supreme Court, in the U.S. Constitution. And we have vindicated all of those rights, and that's what's on the line in this election.
That's right. I'm glad you bring up the Equal Rights Amendment because our very own Attorney General, David Sunday, who was just elected last year, is bringing a case to the Commonwealth Court about trying to essentially say that Medicaid should not cover reproductive health care in Pennsylvania. And they actually list you, all three of you, in that lawsuit. So that ruling that you all brought down back in 2022 was based on the Equal Rights Act that we have in Pennsylvania in our Constitution. So that is extremely important.
I'd encourage curious viewers or people who are on this call who are interested to go and read our opinions in the Allegheny reproductive case, where we talked extensively about these reproductive freedoms that Pennsylvanians enjoy. And that's what folks on the other side would like to take away.
Absolutely. So just to reiterate, I want people to understand this. Reproductive rights, voting rights, environmental rights, funding of our public schools, partisan gerrymandering, all of those things are at risk. They are on the ballot this November 4th, so we must vote yes.
Yeah, and just one more thing on that, Zeke. I know because I saw U.S. Representative Dean on the call, and she made good points. I want everybody on this call to understand that the reason that you have Congresswoman Dean sitting in a district that makes sense, that's intelligible there in Montgomery County, is because we struck down the grossly, obscenely illegal, goofy kicking Donald Duck district that the Republicans had drawn in the 2011 plan. I want everybody to understand that.
Yes, which is misinformation being sent out on those mailers, which is what we talked about. So just to make it a little bit lighter towards the end, the last we talked, you said in your free time you enjoy taking walks in the woods, listening to podcasts. So I have to know, what's the last podcast you listened to?
Well, I listened to Akil Amar's America's Constitution every week. It's a wonderful podcast on our U.S. Constitution. I also try to listen to the podcast that Jeff Rosen puts out from the National Constitution Center, and I listen to a couple of different news podcasts from Israel where I have family and friends.
Mm-hmm. And I'm assuming the Zeekly podcast comes up shortly thereafter, correct?
Well, you know, it's on my list. It is on my list, my friend. It's on deck. It's in the on deck circle.
You know, I'm sure that you have much more important things to do, like winning this election. So I'm going to let it slide for now. But after November 4th, let's keep the conversation going, okay?
Yeah, I've already tickled my calendar. November 5, win or lose, I'm catching up on all the Zeekly episodes I have missed.
Thank you. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Well, my last question before I switch over to Justice Doherty is, how is the relationship between all 7 of you on the court?
It's great. And I think when we ran, we were determined to restore the decorum and the good collegiality of the court. When Justice Donahue, Justice Doherty, and I were running, we were running for a court that had been plagued by animosity, acrimony, and all sorts of nonsense. And the 3 of us put that behind us, and we have been pleased to work with colleagues in an environment that is collegial, that is not acrimonious. When we disagree, which we often do, we do it agreeably, and we recognize we're serving the people who have chosen us to interpret the law fairly and not be involved in the ego garbage that previous justices sometimes descended into, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's good to know that despite your disagreements, you all get along and put the people of Pennsylvania first.
Absolutely, at all times. I think that's really important for all of us. And I think people should be happy to know that all of us are all about the work, and we function really well. We function amicably, and we get our work done transparently and in a principled way.
Excellent. Justice Wecht, I appreciate your time. I can't wait to vote for you November 4th.
Thank you.
Justice Doherty, it's
Thank
so
you.
good to
God
see
bless
you again.
everybody. Have a good night, everybody.
Thank you. Justice Doherty, good to see you again.
How are you, sir? Good to be here.
Good. Always trying to stay out of trouble. Well, my first question for you is, if the 3 of you aren't retained, the state Supreme Court will become a split court. Okay, we'll have 2 Democratic justices, 2 Republican justices starting in 2026, and that will last until 2028. Now, the midterms are next year, with very important congressional seats on the ballot. What would happen if there are any contested races that make their way to the Supreme Court in Pennsylvania?
Sadly, what would happen would be those decisions would be taken to our Commonwealth Court. And that's the court in which we're having Stella Tsai seek that position, and Michael Wojcik standing for retention. However, that court has been the only court in Pennsylvania that actually sided with Donald Trump in the 2020 contest. So sadly, if that court were to uphold, hypothetically, let's say there was an allegation of congressional fraud in the congressional seats, though that case would percolate up to the Commonwealth Court. If they were to decide and say, hey, hypothetically, the Democratic candidate won by fraud, therefore they're disqualifying that person, it would go up to the Pennsylvania Supreme Court. And if there's a very good possibility that it would be a stalemate with 2 versus 2, which means the Commonwealth Court ruling would stand. And that's the fear, that Pennsylvania, as we know it, will be stagnant for approximately 3 years because, as we see, we can't get a budget passed in Pennsylvania, and that's affecting 13 million Pennsylvanians. Do you think they're going to come to an agreement to fill 3 vacancies?
No, it's just terrifying just to think about the fact that we would essentially have a conservative majority in our state Supreme Court just by splitting the court. Again, because it would be very, very difficult to have all 4 people agree to set a precedent.
Well, the sad part is that outsiders are trying to politicize the Pennsylvania court system.
Right. Yes. One of those is Jeffrey Yaz, the wealthiest man in Pennsylvania. He is worth $70 billion, in case anyone was wondering. And he is pouring a lot of money into this, sending out all those mailers, trying to trick people. So it is very important that people understand that there is not going to be a full state Supreme Court if we do not retain you and Justices Wecht and Donahue, because we're just not going to have a 2/3 majority vote in our state Senate, right? I mean,
I agree with it. Yes.
yeah, Governor Josh Shapiro has the power to appoint 3 interim justices before the next election cycle, but the Republican-controlled state Senate is not going to come to an agreement on that. So it is just crucial that we retain all 3 of you this November 4th.
I appreciate that. And what's really sad is whether it's Mr. Yass or these outside billionaires that are casting aspersions and telling falsehoods, not one of them have ever met either Christine, David, or I.
Yeah.
And I always felt, the concept of a retention is that we stand before Pennsylvanians. We
Right.
look you in your eye, we answer your question, and you determine, do we think like you? And the answer should be yes. And for people who have never met us, never shook my hand, to make such comments, it's a sad state for our country, and more so for Pennsylvania.
It is. All 3 of you are highly recommended by the PA Bar Association, again, a nonpartisan organization. All 3 of you bring 50+ years of judicial knowledge to the bench, and you've just done so much for Pennsylvania.
And thank you. You forgot to announce the most important endorsement. We have Dr. Zeke's endorsement.
Oh, yes. The Zeekly podcast strongly endorses all 3 of you 100%. Yes.
Thank you, sir.
Maybe the last question I'll get to for you is, I watched you speak before, and you said once that the pen that you hold in your hand is a powerful one. It can give it can give people freedoms. It can take them away. With so much power at your discretion, what keeps you grounded?
The fact that I sit in a borrowed chair, the fact that we get elected, that's an honor and a privilege of a lifetime. But the chair for which we sit, it belongs to the people, and it's borrowed. And that is why we stand for retention. Christine Donahue, David Weck, and I are asking Pennsylvanians, and Pennsylvanians only, to decide whether we've done well while we sat in those chairs, and asking everyone to give us an opportunity to sit once more so we can complete the good work that we've started.
Yeah, 100%. And for those who don't realize, state Supreme Court justices get 10-year terms. So all 3 of you were elected at the same time a decade ago. And now it's our responsibility as Pennsylvanians to once again give all 3 of you 10 more years to serve and protect the Constitution of Pennsylvania. That is essential.
And we only have 22 days left to convince the majority of Pennsylvanians that we are worthy of that chair.
Well, you are definitely worthy, and I appreciate everything that you do and continue to do, and I can't wait to give you another decade to do your job, and it's an important one.
And thank you for taking the time and at least sharing with us, with everybody's viewers, and everybody vote yes, yes, yes.
Oh, yes, absolutely. Thank you so much, Justice Doherty. I really appreciate your time.
Pleasure. Stay well.
Do we have Justice Donahue?
Yes, we do.
Hello, Justice Donahue.
Hello, how are you? How's everyone tonight?
Everyone is great. It's so good to see you again.
It's good seeing you too.
Thank you so much. I'll jump right into it. I know your time is precious.
Not really. Your time is precious. Everybody on this call's time is precious.
Oh, gosh, no. Could you explain what you do to maintain impartiality while sitting on Pennsylvania's highest court?
Yes, and I think it's a really good question because I think a lot of people have the view that we sort of have a blank slate, and on that slate, we could answer any question that comes before us any way that we want to. Frankly, nothing could be further from the truth. The Supreme Court of Pennsylvania, like all of our courts in Pennsylvania, actually follow rules of construction when we're, for example, interpreting a statute. And so, and honestly, it was the legislature who developed those rules of construction that we follow. So when we look at a statute, we're not looking at it and saying, well, I think the way that would be fair for this to work out is if it said X, Y, and Z. See, the problem is our first job is to interpret a statute based upon its plain language. And, that being said, when the legislature writes a plain language statute, it makes our job easy. That doesn't happen all the time. Don't get me wrong. I mean, some of the most difficult cases that I've seen over the, 19 years that I've been on an appellate bench are based upon statutes that don't actually make sense right on the face of them. But we have rules of construction to take us through the process of deciding what the legislature intended. And, our Constitution, which is such a fabulous, eloquent document, we have rules of construction for our Constitution also. So the notion that some people have, or partisans suggest, that we sit there and we decide the way we want it to be, our way or the highway, it could not be further from the truth. And those rules are in place so that we have an easy job of maintaining our impartiality. And so it's an excellent question. And I think it's a great deal of misunderstanding out there about the fact that we really are constrained by rules in interpreting these statutes in the Constitution.
I really appreciate that. And as we spoke before, I can really relate to that impartiality, because as a physician, it's my job, the oath that I took, is to treat every person I see with respect and dignity. So I understand you do the same thing when you see your cases and the people that come into your courtroom.
And that's what makes it a rule of law. That's what makes it a rule of law, because the outcome of a case needs to be the same, whether it's someone who is very poor, or someone who is in the middle class, or someone who is very rich. It cannot make a difference in an outcome based upon someone's status. And that's why what we do as the Supreme Court is so critical in this day and age, when everyone is looking for comfort, that we do have a rule of law and we do follow it.
Yes, and it's important that we put you back on that bench to keep it. My next question for you is, and this was a very powerful answer you gave, so I hope you give the same one again. Do you believe the judicial system in America is strong enough to protect democracy?
I hope it is. I have a great deal of comfort that the judicial system in Pennsylvania is strong and hardy and thorough, so that our democracy in Pennsylvania is protected. And what's critical, and everyone knows this, everyone who is watching what's going on in the United States understands that what's critical in a democracy is that the three independent branches of government operate independent of one another. And the pride that I take in serving on the Pennsylvania Supreme Court is that I know that my decision-making is separate and apart and distinct and without fear or favor from any of the other branches of government. My position on the court does not rely on the governor. My position on the court does not rely on the legislative branch. I have a position as Justice of the Supreme Court because I was elected by the people of Pennsylvania. And honestly, it gives you a tremendous sense of independence in the system in which we operate, which is why, as you know, I happen to believe in electing judges. I mean, there are very many people who disagree with me on that, but because of the independence that it instills in those who sit in the judicial branch, I think it's a critical tool for ensuring that independence. Plus, we get to see the people in Pennsylvania and they get to see us, which is a good thing.
Yeah. I just think I share your hope as well that the judicial system in America will protect democracy, but I know that you will protect democracy in Pennsylvania. I know that. And
Thank
that's
you.
why it's so crucial that you, Justice Doherty, Justice Wecht, we all vote yes this November 4th to make sure that you all get another term in our state Supreme Court. So I really appreciate you coming here, Justice Donahue, again. I know you're very busy, so I'm going to let you go.
And
But
I appreciate you and everyone who's listening. Thank you. And my short campaign speech, vote yes.
yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much, Justice Donahue.
Thank you. I appreciate it. You have a good evening,
You
everyone.
too.
Bye-bye.
So before we move on to the Commonwealth Court or Superior Court, either or, I'm sure they'll be telling me in a second. I just want to reiterate that we need to vote yes. If you haven't figured it out by now, vote yes this November 4th for Justices Donahue, Doherty, and Wecht. Please turn your ballot over and make sure it's not on the back. It's a yes or no vote. We must vote yes. As you heard, all of our rights are on the line, and these justices will protect our rights. So I think we're going to move on to the Superior Court. Is that correct?
We have Judge Alice Beck-Dubois up next.
Perfect. I love Judge Alice Beck-Dubois.
It's mutual.
It's great. It's so good to see you again.
Good to see you too.
Thank you so much. Well, just to remind everyone, we kind of went around a little bit. So we started at the Court of Common Pleas. We jumped up to the top of the pyramid for the state Supreme Court, and now we're going down to the Superior Court. Okay, those are two equivalent courts: Commonwealth Court, Superior Court, and you are standing for retention on the Superior Court. So you served for a decade. I'm sure it went by like that. And now I'd like to give you another decade, and I would love to vote yes for you again.
Good, good. As
So
I hope other people will as well.
I hope so too. Well, my first question for you is the Superior Court is the most common court for the average person to interact with in Pennsylvania, from criminal and civil matters to issues related to children and families. So how would you expect to be treated by you? How would someone expect to be treated by you as their judge?
Okay, before I do that, I do have to give a shout out to the Lower Merion and Narberth Dems. I grew up in Wynwood and product of the Lower Merion School District. So it is always really nice to come back to my hometown. And I hope I have made my hometown proud of me as a judge, both first as a lawyer and then as a trial court judge in Philadelphia, and now as a Superior Court judge. Yeah, so to explain a little bit of what Superior Court does, is that you heard already what the trial court does, and the trial court makes decisions about child custody matters. They are involved in criminal cases. The trial judges do the sentencing. Generally with criminal cases, the jury's going to decide the case. They handle all sorts of different cases. Whoever loses at the trial court level appeals up to either my court or Commonwealth Court, and you're going to hear from Mike Wojcik and Stella Zai about Commonwealth Court. So my court, I sometimes think of my court a little bit as the movie critic, because what we do is we look at what the trial court did. We consider the trial court to be the director. The trial court decides what evidence the jury's going to hear. The trial court decides certain how things will go during the trial. They decide sentencing. And then whoever loses comes up to us. Mm-hmm. And we look at the trial court and we look at what happened at the trial court, and we make sure that the trial court's decision resulted in a fair trial. So if a defendant's convicted and then sentenced, we make sure that sentence is legal. We make sure that there was not highly prejudicial evidence that was brought in at trial. We make sure that the defendant's counsel was effective. So for all different areas, we look at it, and at the end of the day, what we are tasked with doing is making sure that whoever had a trial at the trial court level, mm-hmm. that it was fair and it was impartial.
Excellent. Fair and impartial is what people in Pennsylvania need, especially today.
Yes, yes, definitely.
My next question for you is, can you share a moment from your time on the bench that was particularly impactful for you personally?
Yeah, one thing, most of our cases, the trial courts do the right thing. And we don't need to order a new trial or send the case back. I have tremendous respect for the trial court judges. I was one, it's a tough job. But occasionally they make very serious mistakes. And one of the most memorable cases I had, it involved a defendant who was convicted of horrible crime, sexual assault against a child. But what had happened at trial was that that defendant didn't speak English. And the lawyer, so the case is scheduled for trial to pick a jury. The lawyer was supposed to have asked for a translator a few days before. Lawyer didn't do it. Lawyer goes into court with the defendant and says to the judge, my client needs a translator. The judge says, well, we can't get one today, but don't worry about it. We're just going to pick a jury and, we'll get one for tomorrow. So they pick a jury. Defendant's not speaking English and the victim testifies. Well, when this case comes up to me, I am so outraged by this case. First of all, how could that judge allow a defendant in the United States to not know what's going on during criminal proceeding? And how could that lawyer just sit back and do nothing? And it was a really difficult case and I ordered a new trial. I felt terrible because I knew there was a child victim involved. I knew I was going to order a new trial, which meant that victim was going to have to testify. But I also knew that I had to protect the criminal justice system, and I could not bless a conviction of a defendant who didn't understand what was going on during the trial. So that's somewhat of a memorable trial, and occasionally it is very satisfying to me that when I see a wrong that has been committed, and I sit in panels of 3, so I have to get one other judge to agree with me, and they usually do, that we can fix outrageous results.
I think that's a perfect example of why we need you for another 10 years. We need
Thank you.
someone to be outraged when wrongs are happening in Pennsylvania and to fight for justice.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for your time, Judge DeBow. Again, for those who may or may not understand, she will be on everyone's ballot on November 4th, okay? She is another vote yes, part of the 7. So please make sure to vote yes for Judge Alice Beck-DeBow this November 4th.
Okay, thank you. Thank
Thank you so much.
And your podcast is my favorite podcast.
Thank you. Checks in the mail. Checks in the mail. Thank you. Thank you. Next, I think we're going to talk to Judge Brandon Newman.
Hello, Dr. Zeke. Your winter beard is coming in nicely.
Oh my gosh. I got lazy, then I got lazier, and here we are. So yeah, we'll see how long it lasts. It's so good to see you. For those who don't know, Judge Brandon Newman is running for Superior Court. So he is on the Court of Common Pleas, and I hope that he will be able to be on the Superior Court after November 4th. He will be on everyone's ballot this November 4th. So please, everyone, vote for Judge Brandon Newman. So Brandon, prior to becoming a judge on the Court of Common Pleas, you were elected to 4 terms in the PA State House. Yes. So how were your experiences as a state rep combined with your Common Pleas judge experience aid you in your role on Superior Court?
Yeah, it's a unique way to get to where I am. I am the only person really running this whole cycle who's actually written laws, got laws passed, and then went to the Court of Common Pleas where I had to be a judge to really oversee to make sure that the laws are being followed. And now I'm running for a position to make sure that the Court of Common Pleas judges are following the law. Mm-hmm. So the one thing that I'll point out is a lot of people would think that coming from the legislature and going to the bench, you would think, wow, this judge may look at things, the legislature is doing things differently and want to do things that outside the bounds of what a judge should do. It's actually the exact opposite. I know how hard it is to pass a law. You have to get 102 votes in the House. I was always in the minority, but I was fortunate to get pieces of legislation passed into the governor's desk. And then you have to get the Senate, and then you have to get the governor to either not sign it or sign piece of legislation. So I understand how difficult it is to get laws passed. And as a judge, being in the Court of Common Pleas has just given me the experience to handle really any type of case that is going to go before the Superior Court. The nice thing about being a trial judge before going to the Superior Court is you completely understand that you have a stale record whenever you get to the Superior Court. We don't create facts. We don't make rulings on credibility. We appreciate and respect the bounds of the appellate court versus the trial court. And then I also completely respect the balance between the two branches of government, the legislative branch and the judicial branch. So this experience that I've been so fortunate to have has really prepared me for this race and is one of the reasons that I was highly recommended from the Pennsylvania Bar Association.
That is correct. I just think it's a fascinating story going through the state house and then becoming a judge and now hopefully the Superior Court. I just think it makes you extremely well-rounded and you will have amazing insight into the law, I'm sure.
Thank you.
And my next question for you is, and I liked how you answered this when I asked you on your podcast episode, what's been the toughest part of being a judge?
The toughest part for me is the isolation. So you get isolated as a judge. Look, as a judge, going from a hyper political position to a position where no one really knows how to deal with you or talk to you outside of the courtroom, you get very isolated. And on top of that, we deal with heavy issues every single day. No matter most of the issues we deal with, you never read in a newspaper. It's talking to families about custody, talking about their new reality as separated families, and encouraging and working together with them so that they can be parents of the children. And on top, and then when you get to the criminal realm, you deal with really heavy issues, fact patterns that no one really wants to talk about. And then you have no real outlet to talk to people about it. And so being isolated, it really took me 18 months to get used to being so isolated. I actually had my staff call the IT department my first week in office as a judge. And I said, there's something wrong with my email. I said, I only got 2 emails this week. And they said, Judge, you only got 2 emails this week. No one's allowed to email you. They email your staff. They email other people, and then it gets relayed to you. People don't have your email address. And I was used to 40, 50, 60,000 emails a year that I would get as a legislator. And then to go to no one being able to communicate with you was a very difficult thing. But I do enjoy being a trial judge. But the adjustment, I'm sure, even going to the Superior Court, which I have Alice really helping me, and she'll guide me because she's a phenomenal judge, will be even more isolating. We're running for very socially irrelevant positions. Nobody knows you or cares who you are, but we make some of the most significant rulings that will impact everyday lives.
100%. I never thought about the isolation that judges have until you answered that question. And I gotta say, I want to give you a hug, man. I want you to know you're never alone.
You gave me a big hug at our last
meeting
in person in Montgomery County before we hit some doors.
Yes, absolutely. You do such important work, and just know that we all think about you here in Lower Merion. Okay.
Well, thank you. In Montgomery County, you guys are really killing it. You have over 70,000 of our targets that have mail-in ballots. So please chase, vote yes 5 times, and make sure I'm number 1 on your ballot. Vote for me, and then go to the next race and vote for Stella. So I appreciate the work that you're doing. You all are killing it out there. Without your help, without the credibility you are lending us in your community, we could not win these races. So thank you from the bottom of your hearts for lending us your credibility in your hometown. And for the next 10 years as judges, we will lend you our credibility, and you can ensure we'll do everything fairly and impartially.
Absolutely. So again, everyone in Pennsylvania can vote for Judge Brandon Newman. He will have the Democratic endorsement next to his name. He's going to be at the top of your ballot. So everyone vote for Judge Brandon Newman and vote yes for Judge Alice Beck-Dubois, both Superior Court. So thank you very much, Brandon. It's good to see you.
Thank you.
All right, next we're going to move on to the Commonwealth Court, which is again right underneath the Superior Court, but adjacent to the Superior Court. Okay, so Supreme Court, Superior Court, Commonwealth Court, and I think we're going to have Judge Michael Wojcik come on, who is standing for retention. And he's the one who taught me that they're not running for re-election, they are standing for retention. So thank you, thank you for teaching me that, Judge Wojcik.
Thank you, Zeke. It's my pleasure to always educate the voters. I am standing for attention right now, but I'm also sitting in my car off of Route 22 in Huntington County going between events. So
oh my gosh,
happy to be on board with you.
Thank you so much. I'll keep this quick and painless, okay? So the Commonwealth Court deals with a lot of cases related to election law or election disputes. And when we last spoke, you made a very memorable comment about how you will rule without fear or favor in regard to the law. So with election controversies now seemingly part of our yearly lives, how will your passion for election law protect voting rights in Pennsylvania?
Well, it's interesting, and I like how you relate that as my passion for election law, because I served as Allegheny County Solicitor for 8 years. I was the primary counsel to our elections division. I ran basically the legal side of elections for 8 years in the second largest county in the Commonwealth. Before and after that, before I became a judge, before I became county solicitor as well, I was an election lawyer as well. So I have probably more experience in the area of election law than really any judge coming on a Commonwealth Court in its 50 plus year history. And I also have done, I would say, a lion's share of the election cases over the last 10 years. I am very cognizant of how important the right to vote is. I take those cases extremely seriously, regardless of who the party is. I don't care if the party bringing the case is of any particular political party or no political party. If they make the proper case before me, I will rule in that fashion. My sole job when I'm ruling on an election case, or really any case, is to get it right. And I think one of our most important rights, probably the principal right, the paramount right, is the right to vote. And if that right to vote is not vindicated, we're all in trouble.
Yeah.
So if we lose that, if we lose the right to be on a ballot, if you follow the rules, you should be on the ballot and you should exercise your right to be a candidate. If you have your right to vote disenfranchised for whatever reason, you should have recourse in the courts. And my job is to be that backstop and make sure that every legal, valid vote counts.
That's right.
And every election is properly certified.
Yeah, you are the backstop to our rights. I say it over and over again. And it's really important that judges on the Commonwealth Court move quickly. I know you spoke that these cases come at you very fast.
Yes.
During election cycles. And so we need you to be focused and have a clear conscience about what's going on. And I know you've done that for the past decade, and we need you to get another decade. So
Yep,
we all have
thank
to
you.
vote yes for you.
Thank you for that. And I always liken it to a line from my favorite streaming TV show, Ted Lasso, referring to when Coach Beard talked about Crystal Palace. A lot of speed, a lot of speed. That's what we got to be. We got to be Crystal Palace.
On the outside.
That is an amazing show. Gets you in all the feels.
Gives me hope.
It does. What I'm gonna, right before you go, I haven't asked anyone this yet, but I'll ask you, what does give you hope, Judge Wojcik?
The reaction we're getting. I mean, I was just in Huntington County, which is not, or I'm still in Huntington County, but I was in Huntington County at their Democratic committee. They had a meet and greet for me. Prior to that, I was at my alma mater, Juniata College, where I spoke to basically all the students here are pre-law who are interested in government. The passion that those young people have, they're all voting. They're all voting their conscience. I hope I persuade them to vote for me, for my 4 colleagues, and on the retention ballot, and for the 2 open seats. But, if I didn't persuade them, that's on me. Then I went to the county meet and greet for their Democratic committee. Huntington is a very, very small county. It's a very red county. It's a rural county. and I've been hitting all the rural counties, the reaction we're getting from all of our voters is off the charts.
Good.
They are motivated. They understand our message. They understand how important this year is, and they are moving. And that gives me hope. People recognize that their rights are at risk. Our children's rights are at risk. Our grandchildren's rights are at risk. And this is really an inflection point for our democracy and for our republic. And we in the Pennsylvania courts are your last line of defense. And I saw in the commentary, someone was asking, what happens if we don't retain the judges? Justice Doherty referred to that. We are in chaos if we don't have us retained in these seats, and if we don't get Brandon and Stella elected as well.
100%. And I just want you all to realize, Judge Wojcik is in his car driving all over the Commonwealth. He understands how important this is. It's not just about a job, although I'm sure you're happy you're gainfully employed, but at the same time, your job is larger than that. It is literally protecting our rights. You are driving around the state in the middle of the night, and I just want you to stay safe and stay hydrated.
Oh, I'm good.
I cannot wait to vote yes for you this November 4th, and I just appreciate everything you're doing.
Thank you, Zeke. I appreciate what you're doing. And what I will leave you with, all of us who are up for attention this year, if we don't win, it'll be bad for us, but it won't be devastating. We'll be gainfully employed somewhere else. We'll be all right personally. I shudder to think what will happen to the Commonwealth without us there protecting your rights.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much, Judge Wojcik. Godspeed.
Thank you, my friends. And thank you, Montgomery County and Lower Merion and Narberth. I can't say like Alice said that I'm from there, but I love you all. I love what you're doing for us. And if you have our back over these next 22 days, we'll have your back for the next 10 years.
Thank you. Be safe.
Thank you.
Well, again, Judge Wojcik, he is standing for retention, so please vote yes for him. And we're going to move on to Judge Stella Tsai, who is running for the Commonwealth Court, so she will be on the ballot. And I can't wait to vote for you. It's so good to see you again, Judge Tsai.
So great to see you. Thank you very much for having me.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
When we last spoke,
yes,
you told me a very powerful story about your childhood, how you watched a member of your family face unjust political persecution in Taiwan.
Yeah.
How will those experiences as a child and your service on the Court of Common Pleas assist you in seeking justice for Pennsylvanians on the Commonwealth Court?
Well, I think what Michael Wojcik just described about the duties of the Commonwealth Court, a lot of election law, a lot of election cases, and to me, these free and fair elections are the lifeblood of our democracy. And I think this is a sentiment I've had since I've been a young person, because I did see what it was like for my family to endure a repressive dictatorial regime, and where my uncle Tetsu Wu, I think I shared this with you, had been incarcerated for 18 years for simply producing plays that were critical of the government. And that imposition of martial law at that time was really devastating for the family, but also devastating for the entire nation. And, one positive thing that came out of that is that he ended up in the United States and was one of the happiest, most cheerful people you ever meet, because he had a chance to live here as a citizen, to be free and to be able to communicate with other people the way he wanted to, something that we've kind of sometimes take for granted. And I have to tell you that my immigrant story is a lot like many others. We are all from different shores, and we all share this common theme and common, we just share our respective constitutions. We share in our, who we are as people. And, it's interesting. I just came, if I may, just go on to something else. I just listened to the last talk about podcasts, WTF. Mark Maron just had his last podcast, and he did it with Barack Obama. And it was a wonderful, discourse. But one of the things that they were talking about is like what our nation cares about. And there's been too much emphasis on these billionaires on money and not this community, not looking out. Why don't we just change what we care about as a whole? And I think that just the notion that we have a country here that we need to take care of, and that to have the opportunity to be part of that infrastructure that has existed for so many years. We need to continue cultivating that and making sure that we protect our rights to continue that democracy. And the way we do that is by voting.
100%. I just think it's such a powerful story. I'm sure it affected you so much growing up, and it just goes to show that I'm sure neither you nor anyone should take our rights for granted. And that's why it's so important to have people like you sitting on the bench, protecting our Constitution, and being a just person for the people of the Commonwealth.
It is an honor to serve. It's been an honor to serve on the Court of Common Pleas for the last almost 9-ish years. I'm just ready to take it to the next level and work on those cases. And I do think one of the things that you talked about earlier is how efficiency is important, that we had to make sure that we manage that docket to ensure that people are not deprived of their rights.
Right.
We work in a timely manner.
Well, Judge Tsai, I'm a big believer that representation matters. And when you are elected as a Commonwealth Court judge, you will become the first Asian American in Pennsylvania's history to win a statewide election and serve on a higher court.
Right. Are we not going to live here?
I mean, on the precipice of this historic achievement and through your endless humility, can you describe what this means to you, your family, and your community?
Well, it certainly means a lot to my family, and I hate to say that it means a lot to the community. And I know I've had a situation when I was a lawyer where I worked for the Cambodian community and was able to sort of extend my network to help them deal with some really terrible, difficult issues around deportation of some of their community members. And it just means a lot to have somebody in the chair that we borrow, as Justice Doherty said. But it's one where it helps. It's important to feel represented and to know that somebody understands your journey. And I know I've been in many, some rooms where I've happened to be on boards, and it does matter who's in the room.
Yeah.
And I also think that my experience just growing up in central Pennsylvania, born and raised in Harrisburg, and going to Penn State, and then going to Penn for law school, that it does matter to be in the room. And because we can't be everybody, but I recognize how important it is that different perspectives are represented, and that we ensure that individuals do not, we don't make assumptions about how people act or what the motivations are of certain people, and just because of whether they look or where they live, their zip code, whatever. Right. So I think that's been really informed my work too. And I hope, and I know that it'll be important to just inspire more civic commitment and civic engagement. I think that's one thing we need to get everyone to do more of, because I think that that's the way our country works, and we need to make sure more people are engaged.
Yes, it's important for Pennsylvania. I cannot wait to vote for you, Judge Tsai. November 4th, you are on the ballot, and you will have the Democratic endorsement next to your name. So that will conclude all 7 of our judicial races for the higher court. So just to recap, and this will be in the chat. Okay, it'll be in the chat, but just to recap, we have our 3 state Supreme Court justices, Donahue, Doherty, and Wecht, vote yes. And then we have Judge Alice Beck-Dubois for the Superior Court, vote yes. And then we have Judge Michael Wojcik on the Commonwealth Court, vote yes. 5 yeses. Turn your ballot over. Rights are on the line. And then we have 2 new judges statewide, Judge Stella Tsai for the Commonwealth Court, Judge Brandon Newman for the Superior Court. We must get democratically endorsed justices, and they are all highly, highly recommended by the PA Bar Association. So thank you very much for all 7 of you.
And Dr. Zeke, thank you so much for being just, having our back having our fun, everything. And thanks for all that you
Absolutely.
do.
Absolutely.
You're a genius in many ways, not only just because of a patent, but many other things that we've learned about you.
Thank you so
It's been
much.
great. It's been great. Thank you so
It's-
much.
You're welcome. It's my honor. It really is.
Take care.
Zeke, we still have
Yeah, we have one more. We have
Okay.
John McMahon, who is running for
And-
magisterial district judge.
And also, I would like to make some announcements at the end. We did not have the chat on, but I would like to make some announcements about upcoming stuff that the committee is doing.
Sure.
And when we share the video,
Okay.
we will have all these links
Yes.
attached to
Yeah,
it.
all the links. You'll have access to all the different judges and candidates' websites. And again, if you want to watch a longer version, go to thezeeklypodcast.com. I interviewed many of them, and I also have links to all of their websites as well on my website. But we're going to wrap up with John McMahon, who is running for magisterial district judge in Lower Merion, Montgomery County. And I mean, I heard you talking about this position briefly recently, and it was just very inspiring. I know that you're very passionate about this position, so why don't you just tell us a little bit about yourself and why you're running?
Sure. Thanks a lot, Zeke. You're doing a fantastic job, by the way.
Thank you.
And Adrian and DCLMN, thank you very much for this opportunity. A lot of you I know, many of you I don't know. My name's John McMahon, and for the last 38 years, as a trial lawyer, I have very passionately and zealously battled in courtrooms throughout Pennsylvania, doing my best to protect the rights of clients and defend the Constitution and the rule of law. And I'm going to go back to that subject of the rule of law and the Constitution when I close out my remarks, because it's very relevant. I started out as an assistant district attorney, a prosecutor in Montgomery County for my first 3 years. It was a wonderful job. It was a great experience. Since 1990, I've done primarily defense work, criminal defense work, many trials in front of judges all over the place. So I feel like I've really developed the knowledge and experience to do this job the way I believe it needs to be done. And it really is an honor for me to run for this position in Lower Merion Township, where I grew up, down in Narberth, where I used to ride my bike, the playground. I used to play baseball down there. So I really do love the community. A magisterial district judge is a lot different than the positions that you've heard about. The position originated in Old England, which consisted of villages throughout the countryside, farms, very rural community. And there would be disputes that would arise in these communities. And the folks that lived in the community would agree on or elect somebody to be the magistrate. It might be the blacksmith. It might be somebody else. And that individual would resolve the disputes. So similarly, with respect to the district justice job, which I'll be hopefully getting in January, it is nice to be unopposed. It's like a neighborhood. It's like the neighborhood court, so to speak, very grassroots. The type of cases include criminal cases, preliminary hearings in criminal cases. Before you get to the preliminary hearing, you have to have preliminary arraignment. You set bail and issue signed search warrants. So there's an element of criminal work and full preliminary hearings in all types of cases, from DUI to murder. Also, there's civil cases that the position handles. Civil cases involving landlord-tenant disputes, breach of contract disputes, collection matters, all types of civil matters. In addition to that, the position deals with juvenile cases at times, and a lot of it's also motor vehicle and traffic matters. So that's just a rough summary of the type of cases that I handle. But I'll be dealing with the folks in the neighborhood, trying to do my best to do justice. So I really do look forward to it. And I think that I have the sense of fairness and lack of ego, to do this. And I've seen so many judges that I've been in front of, and most of them do a good job, but I see what's good and maybe not so good.
Mhm.
So that's about the position. Um, the last thing I wanted to talk about briefly is the present status of our justice system. And I can tell you as a lawyer for the last 38 years, I am aghast, I am outraged, I am angry and beside myself with this assault, this blatant assault that is going on against judges in our judicial system, even rising to the level of threats. And, it's hard for me not to get animated when I think about this because it's so upsetting. But this is what's happening.
Yeah.
And the rule of law, the Constitution, and our criminal justice system, it's really the beating heart of our democracy. And it's been the envy of the world for 250 years. And back when the signers of the Declaration and the writers of the Constitution came up with this wonderful republic that we have, that's what the objective was. What's the government going to be? It's a republic. Benjamin Franklin said, I wonder if we'll be able to keep it. There was one other time in history that we came close to losing it, and that was between the years of 1861 and 1865. We came this close to losing the republic. Not since now has our republic been to the level of jeopardy that it is. So what I want to say in closing is the following. Why have hope? Well, we have to have hope. But not only must we have hope, we must have action. Action. Because this is happening. And what scares me is a lot of people got their head in the sand and seem oblivious to this. It reminds me of Germany when Hitler first came into power, and the Germans, they had no clue what was going on. They had their head in the sand. We got too many people that got their head in the sand. So that's why what we need to do is to continue what we're doing, is to utilize every ounce of energy and passion to get out there, particularly on behalf of the Supreme Court justices.
Yes.
That is so important. And I've been in front of those justices. And let me tell you, I didn't always get what I wanted. In fact, I don't think I ever got a ruling that I wanted. But you know what? That's the way it goes. And you don't cry like a baby and throw names at the judges because you didn't get the ruling you wanted. I understood the rulings, and I can tell you that the judges that we have are beyond diligent, beyond conscientious, and darn good judges. So I invite everybody, when you put your head on your pillow tonight, think of these words that I'm going to leave you with. Think of these words. All it takes for evil to triumph is for good people to do nothing. Thank you.
Thank you so much, John McMahon. I can't wait to vote for you in Montgomery County. Again, some of these people are only our local judges, but the 7 statewide we talked about, everyone can vote for. And it's 8:24. You have to love that we're cutting it a little early. People always like an early end to a meeting. So this went fabulously. I have to thank there are a lot of people that were involved in organizing this. Thank you so much, Adrian Seltzer. Thank you, Mark Steele, for helping with all the background with the Zoom meeting and the electronics and IT. And I'm sure I'm missing people, but thank you so much. Thank you to all the judges who took time out of their busy day for campaigning. And again, I'm sure Adrian wants to wrap this up and talk about some things. But like everyone has been saying, our rights are on the line. And there is something that we can all do, and that's vote. Your vote is powerful. Don't let anyone tell you it's not. It is all our responsibility. Democracy is not a spectator sport. We have to do something, and the minimum is vote on November 4th. So thank you so much for everyone for tuning in. And I hand it back over to you, Adrian Seltzer.
Okay. Hello, everyone. Thank you. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. Our subcommittee, the Issues and Policy Subcommittee, worked really hard on this. And we did not have the chat working because it can be distracting and we wanted you to pay attention. but all the links that we were going to put in, including the where you go to check your voter registration, how to apply for a mail-in ballot, the fact that drop boxes are opening this week in Montgomery County, and where you can go, because we have a lot of people from all over Montgomery County here. And there is also a lot of things happening that our committee is doing. We have canvassing every Saturday and Sunday, postcarding, phone banking. We have an ice cream social set up for October 16th from 5 to 6:30. And there'll be a canvassing and tailgating party on October 26th at 10 a.m. before the game starts. And we have our GOTV rally with some of the very candidates you saw here today on Sunday at 11:30. And also, one of the things that we're really proud that DCLMN does is the banned book story hour. And this last one on October 23rd from 5:30 to 6:30 will be the drag queen story hour. So we try and get all this stuff out there to you. Please follow us on social media. And if you have any questions, you can contact us at for the DCLMN website. Just Google DCLMN and you'll find our website, and there'll be answers to questions there. And sign up for our newsletter. So I thank you all for attending. I know I'm forgetting something. And give me 1 second while I just check this one thing.
And while I do that, before I forget and before I leave, I just wanted to thank you all for the incredible support you've provided to candidates and for this election. And you're really rocking the vote. And I am just so grateful that you're there. So thank you.
Yes,
Appreciate
thank you. Thank you to all the judges and justices and candidates. We have 3 different categories here that
It's
participated
amazing
with
what
us.
you're able to do with all just it's amazing the logistical challenges that you have to engage with explaining our courts, but you did it so perfectly. So thank you so much for everything. Take care, everyone. I'm
Take
heading out.
care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Enjoy.
Keep going.
And this will
Bye-bye.
be,
Thanks to Zeke.
yes.
My pleasure. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you all so much.
And this recording will be up on our YouTube channel, and we'll be sending it out to everybody who registered so you can find out more information that way too. So thank you so much.